Diego, I don't know if you're here. I had like a next presentation for you. Diego? Yes. Are you using yours?
I, yes, I think I have the presentation. I know yes, my voice is coming through well. Thank you, Rodolfo, for presenting all the work we have been doing for the last 5-6 years, no?
Yeah.
So now my topic connected with this is one part of this work we have been doing was related to financial inclusion, in finding ways to put the technology to the service of financial inclusion. And we didn't want to repeat the errors of the past, like designing the solution from the comfort of our homes for the poorest people in the world, that very likely, when we went there, was not fitting. No? So we decided that we needed, this was a solution that needed to be built together with the people we wanted to help. So we started 3 years ago, in early 2015. We started a group within the Bitcoin Argentina NGO called Sistema D, a group of voluntaries that now has around 20 people that has been involved. And we started doing approaches, getting together with the people in the slums. The first contact was through an NGO that is called Somos, in the slum Villa 31 in Buenos Aires. They have been working for 8 years with no, only with the intent of helping people, and they are very rooted in the community. So they help us understand the problems. They open the doors to the slums, because it's very tough when you come from outside to understand, the situation, how people live, how vulnerable they are. And also, many people that goes there, they use them for their purposes. No, they objectivize poverty. They turn it into a product. So you have to be very careful how to approach, how to help if you really want to help. No? So from that experience, integrating, going to the slums, inviting them to come to the Bitcoin Center. Social entrepreneurs were coming to sell their dumplings in our meetups, and we were helping them open a Bitcoin wallet. And it was fun because all the Bitcoiners were so thrilled to explain them, how Bitcoin worked, and for them was alien language, of course, and many terms in English, and like Spanish is the mother tongue in Argentina, so it was like very, I think, rich. A very rich experience for everybody. But as everybody had this good vibe and everybody wanted to help, they kept coming, but we kept learning as well that maybe Bitcoin as a currency was not good enough for them in that moment, because they didn't have the ability to store value long term. Their financial horizon is maybe a week. They cannot make decisions for 2 months, 3 months, and say, okay, I will save some Bitcoin. So we say, okay, there's other problems we can solve before that with this technology. So we started the quest for a solution for the actual problems they had there. And but to understand that, to understand the magnitude of what we are facing, we need to understand how many people is excluded. Today in our society, we have actually 2.2 billion people that is outside the financial system. And exclusion is not only financial exclusion, it's also social exclusion. Because by being poor, you are rejected from certain areas. It's like you are invisible to the system. So although we are starting with financial inclusion, we think this goes way further than financial inclusion. This is about empowering and connecting and integrating our societies. And so when you start asking, so we know it's a big problem, it's half of the population that is excluded in our society, but what is financial exclusion, or what are the roots of financial inclusion? So the main problem is, I would say, the main problem for them daily is safetiness. They don't have, they live always, exposed to violence. It's very difficult to store value because, of course, they are in bank, and if they get their payments in, I mean, they get their salaries in cash. So they are always exposed to robbery, to violence because of that. So that's one problem. Then that turns into bad financial behaviors because money burns in your hands. You want to spend it as fast as you can. So, you know, financial inclusion implies that you are poor and also you don't have the opportunity to plan your life. You have to just be reacting to situations. So the first thing we realize is we need to provide them with means to have safety nets, to be able to store wealth, the wealth they have. So that was one of the learning lessons. The other thing is we realize that by giving them access to other markets, when I'm saying other markets, I'm saying 10 blocks from the slum. I mean, selling their same products they have, they produce 10 blocks away, they could increase their profit by 6 times. So that was actually, and as they belong to the slums, it's not that they want to get away, their identity is there. Bringing more wealth into them was actually a solution for the whole ecosystem they live in, because basically they would spend that money in their society, in the environment they live in. So that would create improvement in the environment, not only for them, but all for everybody connected to them. And then we say, okay, but then there's a mistrust because we don't understand each other. We look different, we act different, we have like different cultural backgrounds. So how we can overcome this mistrust, how we can create the bridges so they can access these new markets. And then blockchain is key because you can create identities based on reputation. You can create reputational traces that become, you know, a proof of their behavior. So that behavior becomes them. So even if we look different, we talk different, or we have different cultural backgrounds, I can see that person has integrity. So, so that's the other key element: reputation as a bridge and as a way to integrate both sides of society. And of course, the other thing we learned is that we needed to bring, you know, education, because depending on the generation, I mean, if you are talking people under 20, they are already digital natives. 20 to 30, they are open to learn. But if you go up, you know, 30 and above, it's very tough for them to use digital tools and forget about digital money. So that's also why, you know, we realized that we needed as a bridge towards cryptocurrencies or non-fiat currencies, we needed also to create like local digital currencies, something they already knew, a digital representation of what they already knew. So part of the ecosystem needed to have like a digital peso. Also for what I said about the short-term decisions they made. So you need a stable coin, even though you know that in the long run it will lose weight. So that's part of the financial education. So education, now it starts with digital alphabetization, then turns into financial education to have better financial patterns, which I think all of us need to take, not the poor ones also. And then the third element is entrepreneurial training, how to turn them and teach them how to be entrepreneurs. And of course, this is aligned with the sustainability goals, you know, the 4 of them at least. So as I said, reputation is at the core. And with that idea, we started working, we crossed paths with IADB, that is the InterAmerican Development Bank, one of the biggest development banks in Latin America. They are the ones financing the roads, the electric grid, all the infrastructure aspects. And when they realized what we were doing, they say, okay, I want to learn more. I want to see if I can put all my connections and my background and my resources to the service of putting this into reality, because we were doing everything voluntarily without money. So, and it's remarkable that some of the people in Sistema D was working without any monetary income for 3 years. So that's very very impressive and shows commitment. So with that idea, Rodolfo and some of the members of Sistema D started doing the design together with the IADB to launch a program, a joint program. And after a year and a half, well, this is the other trigger we saw. I forgot to include that, but the other thing is that smartphone penetration in the slums is going to be maybe half of the population will have a smartphone in their hands next year or the following year. So that's another key element to trigger the adoption of this financially inclusive ecosystem. And finally, after a year and a half of designing the project, IADB finally gave us a grant, March this year, of to the Argentinian Bitcoin NGO of 1.2 million to start the first financially inclusive ecosystem. So I think there are other partners like Accenture and RSK are also partners, but we need more people getting involved and more people supporting this. So that's why the last member of the alliance is you. So hopefully, if you want to contribute, we'll be very happy to welcome you. And this is, as always, a community effort. And we have the opportunity, I would say, for first time in history, of putting blockchain technology to overcome the exclusion we have in our society. So, thank you.